quiet seaside town, an evil lain to rest centuries ago, has risen. An abandoned fortress deep in the swamp holds a secret that could save the village or destroy it. Now, a band of adventurers sets out to dig up the wounds of the past and bring the light of day to the roots of ruin. This is Tabletop Gold.
Da 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 dun 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 da 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 dun 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 dun. Everybody, it's March Madness. It's the third week of it, and David is going to take it away as we get into the semifinal matchups. Anything could happen today. It's anybody's ball game. David, let's get started with today's matchup.
Malt Madness Week 3. Here we go. Moving into the semifinal round. Two very exciting semifinal matchups today. So far, the bracket has gone chalk. All the top seeds ultimately prevailing in a series of close contests in the first round by 3 votes to 2 are 1, 2, and 3 seeds, all advancing by the skin of their seeds. Let's get into our first matchup on what I have dubbed the left side of our bracket, because I typed it on the left side of the screen. The number 1 seed in our bracket, the malted milkshake, also known as chocolate malted, chocolate malt, vanilla malted, that sort of thing. Delicious dessert beverage that includes malt balls for some extra sweetness and depth of flavor. Number 1 overall seed in our bracket, defeated the Republic of Malta in the first round, facing off against malt liquor, which is a liquid that gets you drunk.
It's the only real runaway victory.
Yes, this was the runaway victory in the first round. 5 votes to none. Malt liquor, perhaps an unexpected powerhouse from the middle of the bracket. So we have the dessert beverage facing off against the after dinner beverage, and I suppose could also be a before dinner beverage. I really think of it as a middle of the afternoon beverage, so that's a little glimpse into my past.
Totally. Works every time.
What do you think, folks? Who has got an inclination here between the malted milkshake and malt liquor?
You know, I put into the chat, actually, a malted item that we didn't know about before.
Yeah.
I was at the grocery store this last week and discovered Goya Malta, which is a kind
Malta
of a
Goya.
Soda. It is like a malted soda.
It's like if you took all 4 of these things in our top bracket and slurried them together.
Kind of. I'm very curious
That's how
about
they
it.
make it.
Anyway, my point is the general gist that I've gotten from, I didn't buy the product, but I've read some commentary, and it's sweetened, and people like the sweetened malted, and I feel like I'm going to keep going for that.
so sorry. I'm so sorry to do this. We're trying to move through this segment, and
there
it's
was
a
actually
1 versus
a
2, and you
point-
brought up something completely different.
There was a point I was getting to, and you've
What
only
is
made it
it?
longer. The point is, maybe malt works well when it's sweetened, hence me voting for malted milkshake.
Okay.
There was a point.
All right.
Thank you very
We brought it back.
Excellent. So, on the basis...
How dare you, sir? How dare you?
Scenic route.
On the basis of a beverage that she has not consumed, Robin votes for malted milkshake as the first vote. So it takes a 1 vote to nothing.
It was a coin toss on that one as well.
Yeah,
I chose a side and ran with it.
I appreciate that. We have initial vote on the board for malted milkshake. 2 heavyweight beverages facing off here. Zoe, what you got?
I'm ready to come in with a hot take.
Yes.
I feel that the amount, given that this is a malt-specific bracket,
Right.
The amount better that malt makes a malted milkshake compared to a regular milkshake, for me, is much less than the amount that malt is critical to what is, I think we can all agree, really, truly wonderful about malt liquor. And so I'm giving it to malt liquor because of what malt itself is adding.
So the sort of marginal impact of the malt for you is greater for malt liquor than for the
without
malted
the
milkshake.
malt liquor is, I don't know, like alcoholic urine that you tape to yourself. I'm not sure. Like,
Yep.
I don't know that all. I think most malt liquors that we get here in the States are American lager style beers, but I don't know that all American lager style beers necessarily have malted.
All beers contain malt, according to generative AI. There is no beer without malt.
According to the lying robot.
I'm sorry. At the beerstore.ca on their website, Malt 101, there is no beer without malt. So suds lovers need to have a few grains of knowledge about it.
All right.
Okay. Well, there you have it. A tied matchup here, 1 vote to 1. Armat and Lars, what do you think?
I'll just say.
Yeah.
This is a difficult matchup because I, as an adult, have outgrown both of these things.
What?
Like a malted milkshake is a
Sunday?
treat for a child, and malt liquor is a treat for a younger adult than myself.
But Lars, you are so very young.
It's true. I am quite young. Unfortunately, I have outgrown both of these things. So it's like the choice of which one of these to go with is really the choice of like, it's a choice of who is your true self?
Yes.
Was your true self you as a 7-year-old drinking a malted milkshake, or is your true self you as a 19-year-old drinking 2 things of malt liquor and destroying your brain?
Porque no los dos.
Because we got to pick a winner.
Throw some liquor into that malted milkshake. Mwah.
Well, that's that.
Now we're back to the malt
talking.
Goya.
Yeah, that's a compelling idea right there.
That is a real Malta Goya sort of situation. And here's the thing. I could drink a malted milkshake and I would feel really good and I'd have a nice time. I could, if I drank malt liquor, it's bad for you. Like it really is bad for you to drink malt liquor. So I'm voting for the malted milkshake.
All right,
ultimately.
a second
6-year-old Lars wins over 19.
Yeah, second vote for the malted milkshake, which edges back in front 2 votes to 1 on the basis of its being not so totally punishing.
Less awful.
Yeah.
To the digestive apparatus of a 40-year-old.
Malted morning. That's for sure.
And Armat, that brings us to you. 2-1 malted milkshake in the lead. What do you make of this?
When I was a kid, I remember trying a malted milkshake and not being able to tell the difference between that and the regular milkshake. Now, admittedly, I was not a gourmet or had a perfect palate or anything, but I have tried malted liquor enough to have an opinion on it.
Okay.
It might not be good, but I know it.
You know what it's about.
Exactly.
I like calling it malted liquor. I think that's very fun.
I like adding an extra syllable,
Yeah.
It's like when in Old English or Middle English where you put the accent on the E, like malted liquor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Malt liquor is my answer. Yeah.
All right.
No.
Well, that puts me, folks, once again in the very uncomfortable position of needing to break a tie. And in this case, I have like very fond memories of both of these things. Lars, you identified the correct phase of life for each of these, and then you sort of rejected both outright. I am going to advance to the finals. Malt liquor.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yep.
And what's interesting is I probably have fonder feelings overall for the malted milkshake. However, I feel that malt liquor is sort of a maltier malt. It is a malt madnessier malt.
If we're trying to figure out the maltiest malts.
Yes. To me, the malt is sort of like more inherent in the malt liquor, less of sort of a bonus throw in. It just feels maltier to me. So I think the malts have it. Malt liquor moves on to the finals, which once again will be decided next week.
Congratulations to malt liquor.
Gentleman's clap. Thank you guys for being
Old
so
English
sportsmanlike.
showing up there for us every time.
That moves us on to our second and final semifinal. Number 2, Malt Balls, taking on number 3, malt vinegar. Once again, malt balls is a candy component.
Could also be called Whoppers.
Associated with the Whoppers are chocolate covered malt balls. So that's sort of the closest association. Versus malt liquor, which I will withhold with the description. I was going to type of malt vinegar, a type of vinegar used in both cooking and finishing food. I will kick off the voting here because I think I've probably tipped my hand fairly strongly in this matchup the first time. I don't like malt vinegar. I don't like vinegar.
Yeah. On record.
I don't like sour foods. I don't understand why one of the flavors of foods is bad tasting. This doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
I am pumped out on all things bitter and sour as like, ooh, here's an appealing idea to eat. So I am a clear vote for malt balls on this one. I don't want to go last. There's no point in my going last. Everybody knows how I'm going to vote. So I'll get the ball rolling. Vote number 1 for malt balls.
Okay, so I can jump in on this one because I came up with a sort of logical argument that I think is compelling to me. So malt vinegar is a subset of vinegar. Malt balls, however, are malt first and foremost. There's no subset
of balls is what you're trying to say.
It's much more a type of malt than it is a type of ball.
Large to limit, and thus malt becomes the defining factor in the malt ball because the ball is too abstract a shape in some way. A simple sphere to otherwise limit it. Whereas malt vinegar, subset of vinegar. I'm voting malt balls.
All right, 2 votes for malt balls. Armat, you have said and done many things on this show that I've found spontaneous and delightful. I'm not sure I've ever agreed more with anything that you've said than
I don't know what's happening.
What you just
honestly,
said.
that means a lot to hear. I really
I don't understand
that.
the competition anymore.
That was just a perfect prism of abstract thought. Lars, Robin, Zoe. Lars, go ahead.
Okay, Robin, please.
All right, Robin.
Sure?
Yes.
Okay. I will go on the opposite end.
All right.
Yeah.
I've never had a malt ball that I enjoyed.
Oh.
I find them F tier snacks.
Wow.
I think they are. If I had to choose between drinking malt vinegar and eating a malt ball, I would actually choose drinking malt vinegar.
Drinking malt vinegar.
That's intense.
I like vinegars. Actually, vinegar is acid is probably my favorite flavor profile of the salt, fat, acid, heat subsets.
Love eating some heat personally.
Heat.
So yeah, I am hard stand here for malt vinegar.
Okay.
As opposed to malt balls.
I want to back Robin up on this. I'm voting for malt vinegar as well.
Okay.
You may notice if you're watching the video, I have a dumb facial hair situation happening right now.
Talk about yourself.
And I
I was
don't
going to
really-
bring it up at the end.
Really?
I don't really know why. Here's how this came up. I talked about how much I like malt vinegar.
Wake up and it looked like that?
Oh, let me weave a tapestry for you.
You don't
okay?
like your stories being
A
interrupted, Lars?
non-seed. Go ahead.
My story, I told you where it's going from the beginning. I didn't lead you down a dusty trail into the wilderness. You know where this train is going.
On your face.
So last week when we were talking about malt vinegar, I was like, I love it on fish. And David said the phrase, speaking of a slab of cod, Lars, you should shave your beard off so you just have a mustache. And I was like, I don't know what that means, but I'll say yes to it. Fine.
I don't even remember that
So I
sentence.
have only a mustache today because of how enthusiastic I am about malt vinegar. And because David, for some reason, said that that's what a slab of cod is.
Okay.
I don't know what he was talking about.
I'll
But
tell
I
you
did that with my face, and now I look like an asshole.
tell you
Thank
the
you. I'm voting
reason.
for malt
No,
vinegar.
you just look like Freddie Mercury. It's great.
I do.
Exactly.
That's true. That's true.
The reason
that may
is
be
that
the
I
best
thought
yes and.
that
Figaro,
with just a
Figaro.
mustache, you would look fantastic. And I was right. You look fantastic.
What did that have to do with slab of cod?
Slabs of cod also
You
look
said,
fantastic.
hey, Lars, by the way, slab of cod, you'd look great with just a
Are
mustache.
you sure that wasn't AI misinterpreting what you
It's
said?
possible. It's possible the lying robot tricked me. It's always a chance.
I want to double down on that being a perfect segue.
Okay.
And I did not anticipate you're looking like Freddie Mercury as much as you do. I guess part of it is the haircut you currently have. Part of it is, I guess, the shirt that you're
Very
wearing.
80s Freddie Mercury, especially.
Yeah,
it's a little bit
It's
another
excellent.
one bites the dust.
I love it.
Yeah, you look smashing, and I'm sorry to hear that you don't like it as much as I do, because that's going to determine whether or not you keep it.
I'm the decider.
Out of curiosity, how did your kids react when you changed?
Not at all. Not even a little bit.
Really?
They don't care.
That's surprising.
Not even a single comment.
Having
Really?
taught
Wow.
children, I had very long hair when I first started teaching. I have long hair again, but I decided on a whim to get a pixie cut from my long hair. And I still have memories of the children coming into school that day and stopping and staring at me.
Yeah,
and one
just,
kid
like,
finally just
losing
going, "Miss, you look like a boy."
Oh.
Good stuff.
Our daughter once
Way to go,
wept
kids.
when I took like 4 inches off of my hair, so I feel all
Yeah.
of this.
So that's shocking to me that they had no response.
Zero
to that.
reaction. I don't think they even know what I look like ultimately.
Are we down to Zoe
That's
now
right.
for the decider?
I've just been sitting
We
there
are.
wielding my scepter of power.
This
I
is
just-
great.
I gotta say, I am least sure of where Zoe is going on this vote.
Yeah.
Like,
She can't
I'm
eat any of
very,
it, so-
like, I'm really interested about how this is gonna.
I do know.
The tension has never been higher.
I will say, Zoe has spoken of her love for a malt ball.
Yeah,
Even though she can't have them anymore.
that's right. It's like one of
That's
those
true.
foods that can't be. I've never found anyone even trying a replacement in the gluten-free diet. No, we'll just make this easy. I'm team malt ball. I have like a nostalgic feel for them. I also I like vinegar. I just think there are lots of good vinegars. Like malt vinegar to me, I guess this is similar to my last reasoning, is not that much different or better than other vinegar.
Malt vinegar makes me feel like I'm sitting by the seaside eating like fried clams and chips or French
that
fries.
sounds good.
And it's
That
like,
does sound
it's a good
nice.
feeling.
Well, I for one am extremely stoked for next week's show.
I'm stoked too.
There's been feelings, there's been emotions, there's been tears, there's been laughter.
The greatest malt of all is the friends we made along the way, and also the ultimate winner of this bracket, which we will decide next week in a grudge match between our
Grudge match.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is like historic stuff. Malt liquor and malt balls have warred for centuries.
Yeah.
Yes.
And next week, we will crown one of them the ultimate champion of Malt Madness 2025. Tune in for that. And speaking of COD,
What?
let's start the show.
Let's talk about Lars' mustache some more.
I don't get the cod. Okay. Here we go. The mystery of how to destroy the ghost of Belcora Haravex and save the city of Absalom from the void laser that was her life's work has turned swiftly towards questions about a quartet of lenses. These lenses, based on the information you've gathered so far, are Belcora's connection to the elder god Nimbaloth, and also, perhaps, the key to her undoing. You've recovered one of these lenses, a dish-sized circle of glass containing a writhing red squiggle, and have brought it to your friend Rin Savinxi so that she can help you perform a star reading to gain additional context about the history and future of these lenses. You settled in to perform this ceremony at Rin's open-air tent, and as soon as the reading began, a vivid scene began playing out on the stars above you. You've so far seen Belcora Haravex as a young girl discovering and accepting the lens's insidious power after a dinner party at her family's Absalom estate. And just as you're about to start processing the significance of this vision, another scene starts to play out on the screen of the stars hanging above you. I want to know, because I'm so keyed into this like Belcora Haravex thing. Like the Belcora Haravex is all I've been thinking about for the last like 4 years, basically. And like, I'm just like wondering, did that scene provide additional information? Like, is this all like, yeah, I get it. Or like, did this bring greater anything into focus that wasn't there before?
I loved seeing how encouraged she was. Like that it wasn't something that she fell upon, it was her birthright. I found that very interesting.
I was just going to say that too, Robin. I think that's such a good thing to highlight, that like clearly her parents like maybe made a bargain with Nimbleoth potentially, or like in some ways their like worship of Nimbleoth has like given Belcora this weird birthright. So same team, totally.
My impression of Belcora's backstory before seeing that vignette, I would have pegged Belcora as rebelling against her upbringing.
Right.
Turning away from parents who were very wholesome versus coming from a long line of baddies.
Or I could even see like
creeps.
wealthy, vaguely cruel parents who were a little neglectful, but not like the ones who, as Robin said, like enabled and folded her into this world of pain and torture.
Well, I'm so glad we're doing this then. Because
it's cool.
It's the kind of thing like in these adventure paths, sometimes there's like blocks of text being like, here's this character's backstory. And I've always found it difficult running these like Paizo adventure paths, trying to figure out like, when do we push that stuff in? When do we leave it out? Like whatever.
I feel like I've read that a lot in commentary from like, especially on like the Reddit of people like, how do I build in all of this lore to actually running the game?
Yeah.
Because, and maybe this isn't the time and the place for this, when you start reading a block of text to a bunch of people playing a role-playing game, like you could whisper the nuclear codes and they would never be recovered. Like it would never get internalized by the people that you're trying to
there
really
are dice towers being stacked.
I really appreciate your saying this, because as our game has gone on, I have progressively had more and more trouble like hanging on to and grasping the most essential details. Like right now, if you were like, okay, dude, your life depends on it, where are all the lenses and what's the difference between all of the races of underground species? I think I would get I wouldn't get like an F, but I don't think I would like ace that quiz.
You wouldn't be happy that your life was depending on it.
My notebook?
No, I would be
so
like,
important.
the Earthicals have 2 of the lenses, but they hate the Chewels. Like I wouldn't crush this.
Actually, that's canon though.
Yeah, that's
Robin, what were you saying about your notebook?
Like just I'm definitely that player that for a long time I am not a consistent note taker. And the longer we have been on this campaign, really it's been just in the last like 4 months, I have been much better about taking notes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm very bad at doing computer notes. Some people can take notes on the computer and that really helps them. But being able to flip back through it, I find really difficult. I have to have an actual physical notebook. And so I'm able to go back through and find, the doodle or something next. Remember what doodle I did next to some note about some Urdefon, so I could remember the name of the character that you mentioned back in November.
Yeah, I can only take effective notes for myself on one of those like small sand Zen gardens.
Mm-hmm.
It's the ephemeral nature of them that really does it for you.
It's just off the frame here, and it works really well, but only for a short time.
Well, that's why you get such a big one. You can do a couple at a time.
Yes. Speaking of which, the dog got in there again, and I have no idea what's happening on the show.
So that's helpful for me to know. I appreciate that. So here's what's happening. The end of this scene just finished up, where we've just seen Belcora learn about these lenses that her family keeps. We've learned that there's like a lineage in the Harovex family of sacrificing people to Nimbleoth, and Belcora is into it. And as that scene fades, you get a brief moment of stillness, and then a new scene begins to unfold, sort of wriggling between the stars. It's like you're lying down on the dirt floor of Rin's tent, looking up, and the stars are like making a matrix of images in front of you, and that's what you're seeing, and that's what you're hearing right now. So this scene starts, and we are looking at a muddy street in a decaying city far from Absalom. This is 8 years later. It's 4226 Absalom Reckoning. In the previous years, the Harovex family has been ejected from Absalom after their grisly human sacrifices were discovered and made public. A wooden cart rolls down the street, spraying filthy water into the air behind it as a lopsided wheel dips into a puddle. Once the spray subsides, we are looking at a small tent on the side of the road. Inside the tent are 2 teenage girls, Belcora Harovex and her cousin Amaranth. Amaranth speaks first.
Ugh. This place is disgusting. You'd think a tent would be enough to spare us the dignity of all that happening out there. Ugh.
A faint blue glow washes over Belcora's face. A wooden case containing a lens is open on her lap. She is methodically polishing the lens with the fabric of her dress. Another case, identical to this one, rests with Amaranth's belongings.
Belcora, would you please put that thing away? We are down to our last crumbs of food from the other night, and we have to find more soon.
Something will work out.
You always say that. So far, it has only worked out because of me.
But it has worked out.
You're impossible. The only thing you care about is revenge. Well, we're not going to get revenge if we die of starvation.
That's not the only thing I care about.
Belcora once more turns her attention to the lens as Amaranth sighs with exasperation. There is the loud sound of the thudding of boots just outside the tent. Belcora quickly tucks the lens away back into its case, and a moment later, the flap of the tent is pulled open.
Well, 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 would you look at this?
Wind and rain starts whipping into the tent through the open flap. The man is a member of the local town guard here in Opara. Belcora notices that he is large and armed.
Now, I'm going to need the 2 of you to come out of the tent. We're looking for someone. Come on, get out.
The 2 girls silently step out of the tent, Belcora's hand trailing back towards the case containing the lens. The rain falls on the girls' heads in heavy drops as they follow the guard to a dirt road just down the hill.
All right, let's see.
The town guard pulls from his leather pack a scroll and struggles to unroll it in the heavy rain.
Now, what are your names? I've got the folks I'm looking for written down here somewhere.
My name is Magrel. Holix Magrel.
Don't think that's the name I'm looking for. What about you?
Harovex. My name is Belcora Harovex.
Amaranth looks to her cousin with shock.
Would find out regardless.
Wait a minute. Yeah, that's the name. Harovex. Now hold on one second.
The guard fumbles with his pack to pull out a pair of shackles. The shackles slip from his hands into the mud with a splat.
Come on!
The 2 girls run, their feet squelching into the mud as they scramble to get away. When they come to a fork in the road, The sound of the plodding guardsmen is getting louder.
We have to go this way!
Amaranth motions to the road leading deeper into Opara.
We can find shelter there and wait this out. We can get away!
The lenses. I can't leave the lenses.
If you don't leave them, they will kill us, just like they killed your father, my father, your sister. All of them, Belcora, please! See sense!
No, there's another way.
Belcora pretends for a moment as though she's going to start running down the other road, then quickly pivots, grabs her cousin's jacket by the lapel, then shoves her brutally down into the mud.
Belcora!
But Belcora is already gone, running up the hill, her soaked shoes slipping under her legs as she fights to get closer to the tent, the cases, and the lenses. When she gets to the top, she turns back for a moment and sees the guard clasping the shackles on Amaranth, her face shoved down into the mud, stifling her screaming. The sound of the rain is deafening as Belcora stomps through the field to the tent she and her cousin had spent the last weeks in.
I'm not leaving you behind.
She opens the tent's flap, tucks the case containing her lens under her arm, awkwardly balances Amaranth's under her chin, and then runs out into the night.
Savage.
Yeah. So this scene fades away as well. Rin looks towards the four of you and says, "Oh, seems like this Belcora is not a very nice person, ultimately. I'm sorry, I don't know what to say. I thought a joke might cut the tension. Not a nice person. I guess it wasn't a joke, ultimately."
No, I think that's just more of a statement, Rin. Man,
Right.
I don't really feel bad for them because they were sacrificing people to Nimbleoth, but at the same time, for some reason, I kind of feel bad for Amaranth. Feel connection there.
I could see why. There's a certain vocal similarity between the two of you.
It's a bit uncanny, actually. Yeah.
I mean, she speaks a little bit deeper, but I get it.
No, and obviously the cadence is different, and, you know.
Rin, I want to say that I appreciated your humor, and I think the issue may merely have been the delivery.
You think there was an issue with my delivery? You think I'm not a funny person is what you're trying to say.
Oh, did we order
you think
food?
I'm overly serious? If I order food? What?
Yeah, I thought you said we were getting delivery.
Oh.
Like
yes.
Rowdy Rockfish or...
Yes, we got
Crooks.
Rockfish To Go, their curbside delivery platform.
Oh,
Should
that's
be
great.
showing up any moment. And food gets delivered.
Do we tip?
Yes!
I don't know, do you? You tell me.
I think I imagine that Ao tries to avoid tipping, and then Mag throws a couple
Yes.
coins.
Oh, I was gonna say someone tips and then Ao pickpockets it back out of the person's pocket on their way out and takes it for herself.
Oh my God.
or maybe at some point I feel like
That's so
Mag's
horrible.
gotta try and be
Have
honest.
you ever
here.
met a teenager, Lars?
I have.
Whoa.
You're right.
They're
You're
the
so
worst.
right.
They are kind of the worst.
So you tuck into these apps that you've ordered from the Rowdy Rockfish, and
Deep fried rockfish.
and
It's the
Rin
zaps.
turns to you as after you've gotten your fill of the apps, and says, "I believe there is one more message that the stars have to tell us. Let us gaze once more into the stars." And another scene starts to unfold. A small traveling party makes slow progress through the sodden overgrowth of a swamp. It is the year 4230 Absalom Reckoning. This group has been traveling for days and is many miles away from any settlement. Multiple wagons led by a half dozen or so horses carry excavating and camping equipment. The sun hangs towards the middle of the sky, but a lingering miasma casts the scene in an unsettling gray light. Within an open carriage sits a 17-year-old Belcora Horovex, peering at an ornately handcrafted book through a pair of fashionable wire-rimmed glasses. 2 laborers, hired from the local town of Diabil, have been hired specifically to carry 4 ornate wooden cases and nothing else. The hardier of the pair speaks first as they trudge through the mud.
So what the hell are these things anyway?
Shh. She'll dock her pay if she hears us talking.
The larger man turns his head towards Belcora and decides that she's too busy reading to care about some harmless small talk.
Oh, come on, rich lady like that. It's better things to worry about than us ham and eggers. Now, what do you figure's inside these cases?
I don't know, buddy. Fancy folks like that keep the strangest things in the nicest containers, you know? A friend of mine one time helped a rich family move apartments over in Absalom, and his job was to carry exactly 13 fine silken bags. It's incredibly important nothing happens to these bags, they tell the guy. And then, when he's done with the job, he asks, "What's inside these bags?" Turns out it was nail clippings or claw clippings, you know, from the family dog.
That can't be true. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, the guy, no, he said it was true, but, you know, who knows?
A call comes out from the scout leading the expedition. The scout, a woman on a fast-looking horse, turns towards the convoy with a shout.
Hold! We've got something here!
Belcora puts her book down onto her side, lowers her glasses, and calls toward the rider at the front.
Stay there. I'll come to you.
Belcora hops down from the wagon and treads towards the scout, her long, knee-high boots squelching into the wet ground as she goes.
Show me.
Yes, ma'am. You asked I should keep a lookout for something strange in the ground with the number of 7. Yes?
Don't tell me what I've told you. Tell me what you see.
Of course. Sorry, ma'am. I almost missed it, but if you look here, on the ground, there's a ring of 7 holes in the mud, like 7 little bitty sinkholes that the water refuses to fill in, not like anything I've ever seen.
Belcora leans down towards the wet ground, removing a long elbow-length glove and slipping a finger into one of these strange abscesses.
Yes, I think this is it.
She turns back to the 2 workers with the wooden cases.
You 2, bring those cases here.
Yep, you heard her, Majesty.
Shut up and move, you idiot.
The pair run up towards the front of the caravan, following in Belcora's footsteps to the 7 strange divots. As they proceed, the weight within the wooden cases they carry seems to grow. What was once a manageable burden starts pulling them into the mud itself.
Ooh, what the hell is this?
Belcora smiles to herself as she notices the laborers' increasing difficulty. She turns to the scout.
It's interesting what dreams can tell you, isn't it? I've seen this scene many times, although always in my slumber. I never imagined that it was a literal depiction of what was to be. I always thought that would be metaphorical, symbolic, something like that.
Ma'am, he needs help.
The scout runs forward to help the 2 struggling men, leaving Belcora behind. The pair holds tight onto the cases, but their feet are being pulled deeper and deeper into the mud. The ground itself is pulled downward in a point like a bedsheet held between 4 hands with a heavy weight in the middle. As the scout reaches the 2 men, she slips in the mud, landing face first at the workers' feet.
You'll never guess what happens next.
The 4 cases slip open, the skull-shaped latches holding them closed, all somehow coming undone simultaneously, as if they wanted to open, spilling their contents onto the wet ground. 4 beautiful lenses, the size of dinner plates, tumble into the mud surrounding the struggling workers. As the lenses touch each other gently, just for a moment, a flare of blue energy lashes out and wraps itself around the 3 workers fallen into the mud. Their screams pierce the quiet of the swamp as they are drained of all life, the blue energy contorting their bodies, squeezing relentlessly like the tentacle of some unseen beast reaching out from an unseen hiding place. The screams continue for a few moments and then die down. And then the strangling energy dissipates as the rolling mud allows the lenses to fall away from each other. Belcora strides forward and scoops the nearest lens into her arms, cradling it with a smile. At its center writhes a black squiggle, roiling within like a leech, as though the glass itself were water. Belcora looks up from the lens towards the rest of the waiting caravan.
Well, come on. We dig here.
The scene fades away. Vryn turns to the 4 of you and says, "That item seems to be quite powerful," motioning towards the lens that she set up in the middle of the tent, right? Like you brought her the red lens, and you've now seen these lenses at 3 different moments throughout Belcora Haravex's life to help you understand in a greater sense what it is that these lenses do and what it is that they're capable of.
I still don't know that I fully understand the lenses from this, but it seems like they seem to help channel Nimbaloth's energy. What do we think of that?
I sort of assume so.
And we know that the essence contained within is like it was part of Nimbaloth, right? Am I remembering that correctly? That
Rin looks towards you and she's like, "Yes, that's my understanding.
right.
That there are portions of Nimbaloth itself.
So
That last scene, it seems as though when the lenses, all 4 of them touch each other, Nimbaloth herself reaches up to destroy everything nearby.
Well, but like maybe that's just one combination. Like if you put them in the order of like 1, 3, 4, 2, that happens. But if you do like 1, 2, 4, 3, then you just like harness the power of the light and, can use it for your own stuff. Right? We don't know that it's bad
Ayo,
always.
Ayo. The power is Nimbaloth's power. It's not something that's transmutable into some other power for yourself. This is just the power of the empty death. This is not something that you can change for your own needs. And what needs would you have for the power of the empty death?
Well, it's not like I need the power. It's like if I had the power, then I'd do better stuff with it, right? Like it's just a lack of imagination to turn it into empty death.
What other stuff is there to do with empty death?
Shay, it's not like arcane power where you like study for a long time and you develop these breathing techniques to help you channel arcane energy.
Yeah, and we get necromancers don't kill people. Like, necromancy isn't necessarily inherently bad in of itself either.
Right.
Well, you've killed people.
Rin
Is
towards-
that bad?
Sometimes, yes.
Okay,
Do you remember?
Vadim.
I was gonna say, do you remember when Vadim just killed that bug guy? And none of us were happy about
Well,
it?
yeah, he had like valuable information. It was messed up when he did it.
Vadim, who was that? Was that the guy before me?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that was a whole nother thing. I mean,
right. Oh,
yeah.
okay, right.
Yeah, it was better that he left because he would have been real unhappy with some of the stuff when we dealt with the...
It is so much easier to get stuff done since he's been gone.
Yeah. No, you're great, Aston. We love you.
Oh, thanks.
I just think what I'm saying, Trill, AO says, like, turning back on our heels, is that, like, we don't know this is all bad. Like, this is a very glass half empty approach to this. I just think we need to have an open mind.
I think what I would love to hear right now is what you're saying, like, I could do things for good and I could This could be used in some other way. Give me a concrete example.
Use it to make more of those crabs that came to the cemetery, but like instead of going to the cemetery and killing our friend who died, who's also the father of him, the crabs like join Nothing But Kobolds and they help deliver trill cakes.
How would the crabs do that?
Also, you
With their
can just
pincers.
hire people to do that. And like pay them a living wage and provide compensation
no,
and
that's
benefits
not the model.
if they get
It's
sick.
this. We're really about independent contractors. But also, I don't think the crabs make very good independent contractors.
I will say, I'm sorry, I don't know if this is helpful. The fact that you stole the tip from the people delivering us the food tonight suggests that if your plan is to have Scalathraxes deliver food to people, is the upside just that you wouldn't have to pay them? Is that really good, necessarily?
Mag turns very briefly back, looks back over her shoulder from the sink full of dishes that she has been doing in the other room. Briefly regards the scene, shakes her head slightly and says nothing.
Rin, that was all real, what we were seeing, right? That was the past?
The stars, when they have something to say, I've always found it to be accurate.
Do you not see how Belcora sacrifices everyone around her? Friends, family. Her cousin she pushed down into the mud so that the guard could take her. I don't understand how you think that makes things better. You end up alone.
Mag has finished the dishes and she tosses the dish towel over her shoulder and returns to the group. Ayo, I think I understand you. You see a source of great power misused and think, I could better use it. There's sense in this.
Thanks, Mag. Yeah, there's sense in this. Ayo's like sort of saying to herself, could use it. It's a source of great power.
As Mag returns to the kitchen to begin wiping down the counters, she whispers under her breath, I suppose an example or two would probably be instructive.
Really? That's it? She comes in and says a source of power, regardless of its origin, has sense in that? Like making a divine contract? I've been trying to keep it down about this, but...
I think what Mag was saying was the
infernal,
intent
I'm
versus impact. I think that's what she was talking about here. And you know what? I don't disagree with Mag, and I get, Ayo, that... Listen. I get Ayo.
That was teacher Robin.
Totally.
I was much smoother than as a teacher, thank you.
Yeah, well, there's less going on, I get it.
I think Mag and I agree then on this idea that you're looking at something, there's a problem, there's something that's misused, and your instinct is, how can I use it better? But the thing is, when the thing that's being misused is so inherently evil, I don't think there is a way to use it better, even if that's your intention.
I'm sorry. I'm confused. When you say there's something evil being used, do you refer to the lenses or do you refer to Belcora?
I mean, I guess the power of the light that the lenses emit.
Right. You think Belcora was using that power?
I
Are
don't...
we
You
wrong?
think that a power
It was using her.
that encounters a small child and then takes control of that child to further its own end. You're telling me that you think Belcora uses the lens. I'm afraid I don't understand that interpretation
Rin-
of what it is that we just saw.
Rin, are you saying that Belcora's just this whole time been taken over by Nimbleoth?
A tool can be used without becoming the user. A trowel does not become a farmer.
Is Belcora the trowel in this case?
I'm sorry, I'm not very good with metaphors. Yes.
I thought it was an excellent metaphor.
Thank you, Mag. And thank you for doing the dishes. Perhaps we should call it a night. Ao, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. Why?
Why? I don't really like it when my friends tell me I'm wrong over and over and over again. So I was worried that it might have upset you. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I mean, like, that's only if you're, like, taking it to heart, right?
Hey, you know we care about you, right? That we are your friends.
Yeah. Totally.
I mean, literally, we've risked our lives for you.
Yeah. Okay, sure.
Just for perspective.
Yeah, and like, same.
Rin says, the stars have given us quite a lot to think about. I don't know that we're going to reach conclusions now. But as the four of you approach the end of this story, I suppose we'll see what sorts of choices you come to. For me, I'm making the choice to go to sleep.
No, not a bad idea.
Yeah, sounds good.
So the four of you return to your homes, the places where you're staying, and you rest for the night. The night passes by fitfully. Perhaps scenes from this star reading, the revelations about the lenses that you've gained over the last few days of adventuring, play out in your minds. But you awaken the next morning. It's Erastus the 12th. It's going to be another day of hot temperatures. The only relief coming once more from the afternoon winds blowing the hot air out to sea. It's a dew point
Just gonna
of
ask.
53.85.
Thank you.
Okay.
So, it's another hot summer day. What do you think it is that we're trying to accomplish? But because you were up a little bit later, I have you waking up a little bit later. It's around 9 o'clock in the morning. Where do you think we're starting? Where do you think we're going? Would you guys mind throwing things at me, telling me what it is you think that we're going to do?
I will just slip in that Mag wakes up early, not early, but earlier than everybody else, to find a quiet place and a quiet moment, and she writes a brief letter, and she sends it via post out of Otari.
So a quick visit to Galentine Deliveries, and the letter is dropped off. This is intriguing. I'm very intrigued.
I think Ao will go check in at Nothing But Cobalt, but whenever that fits in.
Sure, let's do it now. So Ao stops by the wreckage of the Thirsty Alpaca, and DMs Mkork and Kutsun are there working away. It's late enough in the morning that they finish their baking for the day, and they crawl out of the wreckage, seeing Ao approaching, and Kutsun says, our manager, the team leader, has arrived once more. What can I do for you?
Hing bonobo, she says.
I don't know what that means, but your attempt to communicate is always appreciated.
High five.
Only have 4 fingers on this hand, but I'll give you what I can.
And then Ao sets in. She's like, okay, so I want to hear how the pipeline to the Gauntlet is going, and then I'm thinking delivery. We got these taquitos last night at Rin's, and I'm thinking maybe we use crabs and we do delivery, and we do a couple of tiers at the Gauntlet. So how are things going? Lay it out for me. What's distribution looking like?
The distribution of the crab delivery issue that you just brought to our attention?
No, the trill cakes and the dragon blood pudding and
the trill cake. The trill cakes are through the roof. People are loving them still.
No,
They're
like
not
trill
tired
cakes.
of them. They are selling like trill cakes, as we say sometimes. Pipeline to the Gauntlet. We'll be honest with you, we don't need much of a pipeline to the Gauntlet now that the second office has been established within Gauntlet itself. We were sending daily deliveries. Eventually, they told us we don't need those necessarily. We're able to source everything here. Seems like they're a fully operational, self-sustaining venture on their own.
And you got the franchise fee?
Well, they've given us the fee. But they're starting to say that we should give them a fee, given how much more business they're doing than we are.
How does it compare? How much more are they bringing in?
They're bringing in roughly 25 times what it is that we're bringing in.
Interesting. So the pyramid has...
Exactly. That's what I said. I said, we're at a higher point on the pyramid than you are. Therefore, the money goes up. Whoever heard of money going down?
I find the visual really helps. If people see the top of the pyramid, it just makes the whole hierarchy really clear.
And DM Cork is like, I told you we should have drawn the pyramid for them. The visual, you're so verbal. You just always say stuff and it's so annoying. Nobody knows what you're talking about. And Kutsun is like, DM Cork, I'm dealing with this. We will try a visual. We'll try a visual. Thank you for the input. Everybody, great talk. I'm glad that we came up with the let's draw a picture plan. I'll draw a picture and see if those psychopaths that we're working with in the Gauntlet are convinced by it.
Who's the name of who's in charge over there? I can check in with them.
Oh, sure. You want to know the names of the kobolds that are in the Gauntlet?
Yeah. Just the top 2 or 3.
Sure, the top 2 or 3 kobolds in the Gauntlet. No problem. Give me a second.
I imagine he has a Rolodex.
Riemsum Cork.
No, they do have names. I appreciate the help, person who isn't here. Here, this is this. Okay, wait a minute. Sure, Agra, Douglo, and Tudre, I think they've gotten quite big for their britches.
And, you guys looped them in because you knew them from before?
Well, they were following your friend Isthan from a store in Absalom that they saw him in, and then we linked up and you told us that we should work together. They're lunatics.
Oh, right.
They're crazy.
Yeah. Well, it's good they're lower down on the pyramid.
That's what I was telling DM Cork, but that's not how they see it.
And like, of the 3 of them, of Agra and Dougla and Tudre, right, you said. Who would you say is kind of like the leader?
Tudre.
And who's the dumb one?
Tudre.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'll check in with Tudre. Let's see what we can do.
Okay, good luck.
Oh, and one last thing, Neo says. We had some muffins. This lady could use her powers to make these muffins. They were pretty good. Look into muffins, is what I'm saying.
Sure, we'll look into muffins. You'll forgive me if I don't want to use busted-ass garbage magic to make that happen. I think that we'll probably try to cook our own rather than conjuring it like some kind of an amateur, if that's okay with you.
I do think busted-ass garbage muffins could be like a fun hipster thing, though, you know? Like the younger kids.
Well, we can call them that. Okay, all right. Okay, you're the boss. We'll look into it.
High 4, she says on her way out the door.
And Kutsun looks at DM Cork and is like, she did it. She gave me 4. I told you, she's learning. She's growing as a person.
The sign of all good bosses is an insistent persistence of the high 5 or high 4.
And she says nyang nyang bonobo on her way out.
Exactly. One more nyang nyang bonobo.
DM Cork is like, maybe the issue is that we just need to learn on Like, honestly, she is our boss. And you hear this squabbling as they recede into the distance. What else is happening?
Yeah, I imagine Trill just did her standard, getting some crooks, nooks, snooks. Maybe as she's getting her snooks, she hands one. Fidget's still in town. She hands one to Fidget. They jam a little bit.
Yeah, Fidget is like, this is zippy delightful.
Fidget, we told you it's not happening. Just let's just
People
jam.
love my catchphrase.
Let's just jam.
Did he say zippy delightful? I love that.
Ugh.
See, the nerd likes it.
Wow, I am a nerd. Well, I think it's zippy delightful is what I think.
Zippy you.
Thank you, I think.
So, I want to say maybe a couple mechanical things. You got a couple of items that were in Ravarex's hoard that we did not identify at the time that you picked them up. Because it was a tense moment.
Yeah.
I can tell you
let's
what
do
those
some
things
of that.
are.
Yeah,
Yes,
Trill
please.
would definitely spend some time identifying magical objects.
So it was like an iron medallion and a bat, like a rodent with wings in a weird death pose, if you recall. This iron medallion that you got is a talisman. They're both talismans. It's a talisman called an iron medallion. And here's what it does. It's sort of interesting, I guess. Medallions are sort of a thing in this game. So this attaches to armor, I believe. And it helps you with will saves against fear effects. When you're about to make a will save against a fear effect, you burn it, and then it gives you bonuses to saves and upgrades the levels of your saves. So if you're getting into a situation where you think fear is going to be there, you can spend like some time attaching it to your armor and then burn it. So if anybody wants to attach that to their armor, they can.
Mag will take it.
Cool. The other thing that you found is a talisman called a mummified bat. This gets attached to a weapon. This talisman is a magically treated corpse of a tiny bat bound in papyrus. And it makes it so that your weapon starts to vibrate and gives you like an insight into hidden and concealed creatures around you. It helps you fight invisible, concealed things and gives you advantages against them for a minute after you burn it,
That's great.
which is pretty cool.
I feel like that's a Mag or Iston thing.
It might be good for Ao too if we have like an area of darkness where she can just.
I think she'd be into that. I don't want to, if someone's got big plans for it, but I feel like that could be fun.
Someone's got big plans for this mummified bat.
Yeah, no big plans here.
Did I tell you guys that story about the shop I went to in Omaha when I visited
No.
friends there? Oh, they had like
No.
mummified cats in the shop, like just in a cardboard box as you walked in.
In a
I'm sorry.
In a cardboard
I was
box?
like with you up until
Yeah.
the cardboard box. The idea of like they put it on a display case. It's
Yeah.
taxidermy, not just like they got a box full
See,
of
I was
mummied
with Lars.
cats.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it was amazing.
This is what they're doing in Omaha? This
Voodoo's
explains a lot
shop.
about the
Booming
direction of this
music
country
scene.
right now, to be honest.
Honestly, I think this is what we need more of, frankly. Anyway,
okay with
Voodoo's
it,
Odd Shop
actually,
in
compared to
Omaha.
other-
It's amazing.
Voodoo Zob Shop?
Voodoo's Odd Shop. Like it's
Voodoo's Odd Shop. Okay, well,
yeah.
they're telling you on the way. This wasn't at a 7-Eleven.
Yeah,
No,
you know
no,
exactly
Voodoo's
what you're
Odd Shop
getting
actually is
on
the
tin
7-Eleven
there.
franchise of.
It's the 7-Eleven.
Honestly, I would move to Omaha for that.
I was about to
Loose
say, if
franchise
that's Omaha,
rules on
I'm
7-Eleven.
I don't like living far from the ocean, but I'd move to Omaha if that's the vibe there.
Yeah,
I know,
well,
get
look,
a
you're not
big
going
gulp
to
and a
mind.
mummified cat.
Yeah,
Sounds
you're not
great.
going to mind being far from the ocean if there are mummified cats around.
Like they get away with it because they're actually earning 25 times more than your average 7-Eleven, and so they
Oh,
they
okay.
can-
It's working for them, so they get special
That's right.
allowances. I get it. As you're starting to leave the town, let's say it's around, I feel like we've passed a little bit of time here. Let's say it's around 9:30.
I think we would wave at Mark on our way out.
Mark is actually able to see you as you pass by the Otari garrison because he is in turn waving goodbye to the surviving members of the Star Watch who are all leaving town right now. You can see Captain Margot Jensen, you can see Torpor Wedge, and Birdie Graham, the Gripply medic, are all starting to leave. They're starting the long walk back home to Absalom. And as they leave, Margot turns to Mag and says, "It seems as though you've changed somewhat."
I have. People do.
Well, I hope you're able to do what you need to do. We have to go. And Margot turns and just walks away without any additional information. Torpor Wedge is shoving a trill cake into his mouth. He's just like, well, thanks, guys. Thank you. See you guys later. And sort of walks after them. Birdie, small, she's about 2 feet tall, is on their way to leave. She's trailing behind the two of them. She turns around and walks up to Ao and says, Ao, I guess this is it. I'm leaving. Got more work to do. Just wanted to say it was interesting. It was nice getting to meet you. I feel like we understood each other somehow.
Nods much more thoughtfully than she generally does. Like, yeah. Thanks, Birdie. Thanks for everything.
Yeah. I just know you've got a lot on your shoulders. It's a lot for anybody, but it's a lot for... She's trying to figure out how to not say it's a lot for a kid. And she's like, it's a lot for somebody who's just starting out on their own.
Yeah.
I think whatever it is that you do, it's going to be the right thing. I know in situations like this, everybody's got their opinion. And they give it to you over and over again. They tell you what it is that they think. People don't usually listen. And she writes something down. It's an address. It's where she lives in Absalom. She's like, if you just want to write something down, forget about it, send it my way. I can listen.
Sort of like clutches the note and like carefully folds it into quarters and sticks it in the same pocket as Froum is in her bandolier. And she looks up at Birdie and she says, Birdie, one last question.
Yeah.
If you had to pick between healing yourself and healing everyone else, which would you pick?
If I'm hurt, I can't heal anybody. So I guess I would heal myself first.
Nods thoughtfully and then goes like in for a hug. And she's like, thanks, Birdie. I'll be in touch.
All right. It's too bad all the horses get eaten by harpies on this island, because I'd really like to ride a horse right now. This is going to be a hell of a walk, given that I'm 2 feet tall.
I think you mean a hell of a hop.
You're right. I did mean that. Well, see you guys later. Can't wait to see what next exciting mission the Star Watch is going to send me on.
Good luck, don't die.
Great.
Good luck, don't die.
It's not up to me. See you guys later. And she salutes and hops away.
MVP, Birdie Graham.
Seriously. I hope Birdie doesn't die.
5 feet later, Birdie gets impaled by an arrow flying in from the distance.
Mistaking her for a horse.
It's a very
That's what
really
grim
sends
universe we live in.
Over the edge.
These horse-eating harpies have been starved for food for so long that they've taken to eating Grippleys. It's a damn shame.
Yeah.
You see it 7 times a day, but it never gets easier.
All right, so we're heading back down into the dungeon, it sounds like. The leads that you have involve lenses and something at a treasure vault. Ao is expressing interest in a treasure vault, which is on the lake.
Yeah.
There's also a lens that you know the drows abandoned into the lake.
Sounds like the lake is probably...
Yeah.
It sounds like we're headed for the...
And is it that Kerfell has a lens that we need to get?
And the third lens that you're aware of is being held by Kerfell, the leader of the Erdeffens.
Who's somewhere
If you
down
recall,
there as
you were
well.
just leading like an expedition of Calignes, and you were waylaid by part of the Erdeffin horde.
Yeah, they're not nice.
Well, I want to check, do we have any rune transferring that we need to do
Oh,
in
yeah.
Ildaris before we...
We got
before we mosey. I want to.
Oh.
I don't want to belabor that, but I don't want to.
No, you're
Forget
right.
it.
This is
that's
how
a
we
plus 2,
planning.
so that's quite good.
Yeah.
Um,
I guess we go through Eldaris to stop by the blacksmith.
I think so.
Okay. So yeah, you head down through Gauntlet, which at this point is an ordeal. You're going so far underground, and it is such a circuitous path that you're taking at this point because it's like you can take, teleporters the first few floors, then you're going down this ka-chung, 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 this elevator that takes you down into the 8th floor. Then you're tracking your way through like the passageways leading down to the Drow territory. It's a process, right? Like this is restarting your adventuring day from Otari at this point is like an hour and a half long project. So it's around 11 o'clock in the morning when you have finally made your way back to Eldaris, and it sounds like people are interested in doing some rune transferring.
Yeah. I think we should, right?
Totally. We've got that +2 rune that either Ao or maybe Istin. I was thinking maybe we just roll a die for chompers, or again do
An old fashioned roll off to see who gets the +2 on their attack rolls.
that was my thought, but I am definitely amenable to other options.
Let's do it.
Cool.
Is that okay? We can roll some dice and see who
Yeah.
gets the higher roll. Okay, so Armet, roll a d20.
All right, I'm gonna roll a d20. That was a percentile die. Sorry.
That was a d100. Try it again.
Okay, 17.
Zoe, it's time for you to roll a d20. The tension has never been higher.
Literally.
16.
Wow.
Oh,
16. Okay. So the shirtless blacksmith looks towards the four of you and sees Istin and says, "Looks like you just want to roll off."
Right. It's a pretty universally recognized form of determining who among adventuring parties receives the loot. But, I do want to say, are you sure you don't want it? Because if you'd like it, I'd be happy to let you take it.
I'm sorry, did you guys not just do a roll
Armat
off?
just
What's
wanted
happening?
to lose the roll so badly.
Well, it's almost
Listen.
as though, I feel as though there's some sort of karmic debt I've inherited where someone took a rune from Ao at some point, and it's almost as though the universe has been looking for a way to return that shitty behavior with like some brighter, more Scottish sounding positivity.
Ao nods thoughtfully. She says, "Yeah, tell you what." And she takes the tip coins from the delivery out of her back pocket and hands them to Istin. She's like, "Now we're even." It's
High
like,
four!
high four, and it's symbolically 4 copper.
Yeah, love it. Yes.
So what's happening? What's going on?
Plus
Going
2 to
on
chompers, please.
Okay, +2 on chompers. Great. So the blacksmith sets up to start doing that. That's going to cost a fair amount of money because of how it is that transferring runes from stuff works. We'll figure it out. But because you're transferring it from a mace onto a bow, that's going to take some time. That's going to take some money. So this is going to be an adventuring evening. And so the blacksmith hands off chompers and this mace that you're transferring the rune from, and then turns to hands that off to another blacksmith, and then he turns to the party again and says, "And what else can I help you with?" You notice that his chest has been recently waxed. There is like dewy sort of sweat glistening off of it, and there's like a blast of heat hitting him in the face as he throws his hair back over his head and turns towards you. "What else can I help you with?"
And
It's service and a show down here.
And Mag steps forward and unstraps the Earthbreaker from her back and lays it gently on the anvil by the forge and says, I understand that with the runes now on this weapon, there could be room for one more.
Yes, it seems like you have room for some more magical enchantment on that weapon, yes.
Well, then I'm wondering what you might be able to do with this. And she reaches into a pouch at her belt, a new one that we haven't seen before. And from this new pouch, she pulls out the scale of a dragon. A black dragon.
Nice.
Metal
The
AF.
blacksmith says, I have an idea of what we can do with this. And we'll pick up from there. Next time.
Dope.
Awesome.
Metal!
The Roots of Ruin is a Tabletop Gold production produced under the Paizo Incorporated fan content policy, using trademarks and copyrights owned by Paizo that are covered under that policy. The Roots of Ruin is not published, endorsed, or specifically approved by Paizo. For more information about Paizo Inc. and Paizo products, visit paizo.com. All original characters and content in The Roots of Ruin are the property of Tabletop Gold, and all rights are reserved. We at Tabletop Gold would love to hear from you. Visit our website, tabletopgold.com, to learn more about us and our shows, join the Golden Horde to get access to more shows, pick up great merch, and connect to the best online community in all of podcasting. Thanks for listening.